Well, I was working on a previous film called Balkan Rhapsodies that I started in 1999, and I had been traveling back and forth to the Balkans to work on that project. And in 2006, I still hadn't finished it. I was actually kind of struggling with resolving some of the issues that I was trying to get across. And at that point, I decided to visit Ivan and Ivana in California. I had met Ivan previously in Kosovo on one of these other shoots, and we became instant friends, and we had this connection. We almost like brothers in some ways. And so I visited him after had been spending some time in the U.S. with the idea that I would shoot for this project, Balkan Rhapsodies. But when I arrived there, it occurred to me that there was much more going on in their lives that didn't pertain specifically to Balkan Rhapsodies, and it felt like it needed its own film. So really, 2006 was the beginning for me of the project, in earnest, beginning to shoot. And then it took me another year and a half to raise funds. So there was a little gap of shooting, and then 2008 is when I was funded and working hard from 2008 to 2010.
So it's kind of different mentality, different culture, you know. People here care just about themselves, you know, nothing else. Which to me it's okay in one way, but on the other it's not fair, you know.
My initial expectations were that I was going to make a film completely in San Diego, California, and it was all about an immigrant's experience in America and how they deal with the underbelly of the American dream that everybody sees in movies and hears about, and that lures them to the United States is very different from the reality. And I thought that even in Ivana were uniquely situated to sort of say something new about the American dream, given their predilection for nice homes and fancy cars and sort of living the good life, and coming from a really bad life. That juxtaposition attracted me. But when their relationship turned sour, and that was a result of their financial problems in some part, then I had to refocus the film and figure out how I was going to structure this film.
California. Ivana. We're not in California right now, we're in suburbia. The pigeons of freedom, okay. You know, it's a lot of them because we're a free country.
There was always an idea that I would shoot verite footage when necessary, when there was an event or an action. But if I'm in the car, I'm going to try to shoot in a certain way every time. And also, I was really focused on the aesthetics of the image. So I was interested in the movement that was happening in the car. And with Ivan's shots, I typically underexpose him and let the outdoors be actually the subject, the properly exposed subject, and he's underexposed. Ivan is usually exposed properly. So I made decisions like that when I was filming. There was also the kind of shots where I stage a shot and then I walk away from the camera, like at the beach when they ask, "Where's Jeff?" with the American flag chairs, and also in the house when the people are looking to buy the house on the market. And those shots I set up, I understand what the frame is going to be. I have a certain expectation of what might happen, and I do that a lot. Not to be tricky, but just to recognize that my presence does influence the situation, and whenever I can peel that back a little bit, things change, and I like to show that sort of vacillation back and forth between my real presence, where I'm asking questions, I'm talking to them, versus the sort of more distant observation.
See you later, okay? Thank you. Bye. Come on. And we gotta play them louder. Look at this, it's gonna get us all the freedom we need.
Yeah?
Yeah, 200 million.
Is that enough?
So we're gonna play for more because it's for that.
Yeah, it was definitely something I was thinking about from the very beginning. Because I've been interested in the psychology of a victim of war and how they deal with that trauma. That carries with them throughout their life, and everybody experiences different kinds of trauma. But trauma of war, I think, is perhaps one of the hardest that people have to endure. And it was interesting to me to try to explore that through their lives, through an intimate portrait, and how Ivan and Ivana deal with that quite differently. Of course, they had slightly different experiences, I'm sure. I know Ivan had some very, very difficult experiences while he was in Kosovo that Ivana didn't have. Some real close calls. Ivan had some very close calls. And that has made an impact on his life, even today. And it's almost as if he's, stuck in some way. And it's hard, but he is unable to recover from that and unable to move forward. And in some ways, he needs the adrenaline rush also of that experience. So like when he doesn't have that, then he's bored, which is also part of the problem. But I agree, the film doesn't try to tackle the war specifically. It doesn't try to tackle contextualizing what went on in the Balkans, because that is just such a huge, huge subject, and people are still, debating over that in books and many other films. But rather, I think just by following these people, and referencing the war, so the war becomes, it becomes a background element. But many people that are in their 20s don't remember anything about Kosovo or the Balkan Wars. Is there enough there for them to still gain access into an understanding of what this couple has been through in terms of the trauma, and how that has, carried forth in their life?